Hello students, I hope you all are doing extremely well and I really hope that you are going through all the videos. In our last class we have started our second chapter from the second year syllabus, which is the consumer equilibrium, and in this chapter we will basically talk about how the consumer attains his equilibrium. That means how he maximizes his utility. And in our last video we have talked about a few basic concepts of consumer equilibrium, like who is a consumer, what do we mean by utility, what do we mean by cardinal utility, difference between this utility and usefulness, what are the distinctions between usefulness and utility. Then we have talked about the assumptions of utility analysis. So in this video we will go a little bit further in this chapter, and today we will talk about the two types of utility and its relationships. So let's start. Types of utility and their relationship. Students, we already know what we mean by utility. Utility refers to the want satisfying power of a commodity. That means whenever a commodity has the power to satisfy our wants, then we can say that that particular commodity, whatever we are using, has some utility or possesses some utility. That means whenever a particular commodity can satisfy our wants, we can say that that particular commodity is possessing some utility. And this utility can be broadly categorized into two different types. The first one is the total utility, and the second one is the marginal utility. Let's us discuss the total utility at first. So total utility refers to the sum total of utilities that a consumer get when he or she consumes certain number of units of a commodity. That means, say suppose a consumer is consuming some number of items of a commodity, that could be 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, or could be any amount. So he or she is consuming some amount of any commodity, particular commodity. That could be, say suppose that is a chocolate. A consumer is consuming 5 units of chocolate. So each unit he is consuming is giving him some utility, and we know that utility can be measured in cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. That means I can say that by having 1 unit of chocolate, the first unit of chocolate, I am getting a utility of 100 utils. Some other person can say that he is getting utility of 20 utils, because the utility differs from person to person, and that we have already learned in our last video. Coming to total utility, say suppose the consumer is consuming 3 units, 0, 1, 2 and 3. Just for simplicity I am just taking 3 units, and the utility he is getting is measured in utils. So when he is consuming no units, 0 units, obviously his utils will be 0. When he consumed the first unit, he got a satisfaction or he got a utility of 10 utils. So here up to this much, when he consumes only first unit of the commodity, his total utility would be 10. As he consumes the second unit of the commodity, say suppose he has got a utility of 7 utils. Because of the fact that this thing is coming down, because whenever you will have the first piece of chocolate, you will get enormous satisfaction. The satisfaction level will be higher. But whenever you start consuming more and more of the commodity, the additional utility that we get basically tends to diminish. So in the successive units consumed, the utility diminishes. Or you can think of like that, whenever we people are very much thirsty, the first glass of water gives us a lot of satisfaction, a lot of relief to us. But the second glass of water also brings us some relief, but it is not as much greater than the first glass. The first glass gives us the more or maximum satisfaction, but the second glass adds some lesser amount of satisfaction, and finally we come to a point where we will not drink any water. So that means we have arrived our satiety level, that means our need has totally fulfilled. Well, so when he consumed 2 units of the commodity, so he has gotten utility of 7. So his total utility will be 10 plus 7, 17. Next unit he consumed, he got a utility of 5 units. So in this case, his total utility will be 10 plus 7 plus 5 will be 22. So that means total utility is the sum total of the utilities that a consumer derives when he consumes certain number of units of a commodity. That could be 1 unit, 2 unit, 100 unit, or whatever may be the amount. So whenever he consumes certain number of units of a commodity, he will get, for each unit he consumes, he will get some satisfaction, and if he club them together, or if we club them together also, we will get the total utility for the consumer. So we can define it as it is the sum total of the utilities that a consumer gets when he or she consumes certain number of units of a commodity. Well, my dear students, let me tell you one very important point, that while measuring total utility, we will not take account of any other commodity. We will be concentrating on only a particular commodity whichever he is consuming. So that's why I have written here a commodity, certain number of units of a commodity, not some various items. Well, this is the simple concept of total utility. Now let's discuss the marginal utility. I am keeping the same example here just to make the concept even more clear to you. Well, marginal utility is the additional utility that a consumer derives when he consumes one more extra unit of the commodity. That means whatever the addition a consumer is having to its total utility due to consumption of one more extra unit of the commodity, that utility is called as the marginal utility. Look here, when he was consuming 0 units, his total utility was 0. When he consumed one more extra, that means when he has increased his consumption from 0 to 1, he has got a total utility of 10. So what was the additional utility to the total utility? If we subtract 10 to 0, we will get the total utility. So 10 minus 0 is 10. First one will be nil because there is nothing to subtract or there was no addition, because before 0 there is nothing basically. So when he consumed first unit of the commodity, there is some addition, so we can deduct 0 from 10. So 10 minus 0, 0 from 10, I'm sorry, we can deduct 10 so we can deduct 0 from 10, so 10 minus 0 is 0. Similarly, for the second unit consumed, we can deduct 17 minus 10, so we can easily deduct 10 from 17, so that will give me 7. So that means when he consumed one more extra unit of the commodity from 1 to 2, he has got a utility of 17 utils, and if we deduct 10 from 17, we will get 7. Similarly, here also we have deducted 0 from 10. Here we have deducted 10 from 17. Here to get the third one, we will deduct 17 from 22. So that means simply this figure is 10 minus 0. This one is 17 minus 10, and this one finally the last one will be 22 minus 17. So it is 5. So marginal utility can be defined as addition made to total utility due to consumption of one more extra unit of the commodity, and it has a symbolic expression too. Here delta Tu means change in total utility and delta Q means change in quantity. So change in quantity will be 1, and change in total utility will be, here change in Q is 1, this part change in Q is 1, and change in total utility is 10 minus 0 is 10, so it is 10. Similarly here change is 1, the quantity changed 1 from 2, so change is 1, change in quantity is 1, and change in total utility is 17 minus 10 is 7, so it's also 7. And there is another formula, MUN equals TUN minus TUN minus 1. Here n represents the number of items for which we want to find out the marginal utility. If we want to find out the marginal utility of the first commodity, so we will subtract 1, Tu1 minus 1, so Tu1 minus 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So for the first unit consumed, total utility and marginal utility is same, 6. for the first unit consumed, total utility and marginal utilities are the same, and here we have deducted the utility that a consumer got when he consumed the first unit and when he was consuming no units. So this is the actually the main formula. So this relates to this one. So 10 minus 0, total utility at the first one, and total utility 1 minus 1 0. That means this one. For the second unit, we will be doing like something like that. mu2 tu2 minus tu2 minus 1. That means tu2 minus tu1. So for the second unit of marginal utility, we need to subtract the total utility from the second unit consumed from the total utility of the first unit consumed. This is the total utility of the second unit consumed, and this is the first unit. So 17 minus 10, it is 7. So these are the two formulas of calculating marginal utility, and likewise total utility also has a symbolic expression. Tu n equals to mu1 plus mu2 plus dot 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 plus mu n, which can be alternatively written as mu I summation, sorry, not mu y, tui summation mu I goes from 1 to n. So that means if we want to find total utility of any of the units, say suppose we want to find the total utility of the second unit consumed, so we will add up marginal utilities of first unit and second unit. See, if we add up marginal utility of first and second unit 10 and 7, we will get total utility of the second unit, which is 70. For the third unit, we will add up the marginal utilities of the three units 10, 7, 5, which will give me 22. So this is a kind of mathematical relationship between total utility and marginal utility, and this is the simple definition of total utility and marginal utility. So let's discuss this relationship in a diagrammatic manner. So to explain this relationship between total utility and marginal utility, we need to form up a table. The table will have three columns: units, total utility and marginal utility. Units start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at first do not fill up this total utility, because if you fill up the total utility column at the first place, there might be some difficulty in completing the table. So I would suggest that first complete the marginal utility, and we know that marginal utility basically falls in. If you just rewind this video a little bit backwards, you will see that the marginal utility was gradually falling. Previously it was 10, then it was 7, then 5. So marginal utility was falling. So let's take an example. 10. Marginal utility for the first one will be nil, because it is consuming no units. And okay, so I am starting from 20, and I am taking an interval of 5. 20, 15, 10, 5, 0, and one additional one. Just to make things clear, I am just taking one negative. So 20, 15, 10, 5, 0, minus 5. All are evenly spreaded. They are with the interval of 5. Now let's fill up the total utility column. We know total utility can be formed as by this formula, TUI equals summation MUI, and I runs from 1 to m. So that means if we want to find out the total utility of the first unit, we will add up only the marginal utility of the first unit. So 0 plus 20 is 20. For the second unit, if we want to find out total utility for the second unit, we will add up marginal utility of the first and second unit. So 20 plus 15 gives me 35. Then for the third unit, 20, 15, 10. So that means 35 plus 10. This will give me 45, 50. 50 plus 0 is 50, and then 45. So now represent this with a diagram. In the vertical axis, I am measuring total utility and marginal utility, and in the horizontal axis, I am measuring units consumed, symbolized by Q. Okay. So for the first unit, it is 20. First, I am filling up the total utility against units consumed. Then I will fill up marginal utility against units consumed. So for the first one, 1 against 20. So let's give a point. 1 against 20. This is the point. Then for 2 it is 35. For 2 it is 35. Somewhat in between 30 and 40. Okay. Then 45, then 50, again 50, and then for the sixth unit it is again 45. Yeah, it is again 45. I'm just making these points a little bit bigger so that you can understand. All these dots are plotted on the basis of unit against total utility or total utility against units consumed. So let's now join these points. So yes, I have got my total utility curve. Let's name it as TU. Now time for marginal utility. Let us plot units against marginal utility. So first one will be 20. It will start from the same point because of the fact that for the first unit consumed, total utility equals marginal utility. Next is 15, then 10, then 5. This is the 0. We need one negative quadrant also. So let's join up all these points. So this is our MU, marginal utility. So students, from this diagram and table, we can see that for the first unit consumed, total utility is equals marginal utility. See, total utility is equals marginal utility. As the consumer consumes more of the same commodity, his total utility increases, but marginal utility starts falling. And when his total utility is maximum 50 units, his marginal utility is 0. Here at this point his total utility is maximum and marginal utility is 0. So this point, let me name it as TU max. So that means at this point total utility reached its maximum and marginal utility became 0. And if he consumes more of the same commodity when beyond the point where his marginal utility became 0, his total utility will fall. See, total utility started falling, and at that point what will happen? This marginal utility will become negative. See, this line marginal utility curve came on a negative quadrant. So this is it, my dear students. The two types of utility, they are mathematical relationships as well as their diagrammatic and tabular relationships also. And if you feel any problem with this concept, feel free to comment below on the comment box, and I will get to you as soon as possible. And we will be meeting in our next video, and we will discuss some more concepts from this chapter. And stay safe, stay strong. Thank you.